It's Tuesday, the 27th of September, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 big stories to get through in 5 minutes. Let's jump into story number 1. Yesterday, the local share market came close to hitting a 2-year low. The sell-off in equities was accelerating on growing fears of a recession right here in Australia.
That's right. At one point yesterday, the market was down to 6,436 points. Now, that's less than 0.5% off its November 2020 low. By the end of trading, it had closed down 1.6% to 6,469 points. What's all that mean? Well, it's 15% lower than where it was in April. Really was a wild ride. Companies considered susceptible to a global recession were sold off. The miners, the energy companies, those sorts of companies, those considered safe in tough times did really well. The big supermarkets, healthcare companies, tech stocks. Now, it's all about whether or not Europe, the US, China and Australia go into recession. Europe looks like it will. Maybe the US, China will grow much slower than normal. What about Australia? Well, Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers warned the global economy is deteriorating. Australia won't be immune to that, but he doesn't expect it to go into recession. He said we need to look after things like skills shortages, supply chain inflation, wages growth. That's really important. We also need to pay the interest bill on the $1 trillion national debt because interest rates are going up. That'll push up the servicing cost by about $125 billion over the next decade.
Wow. Story number 2, Sean, is linked, in fact, to story number 1 because over the weekend we saw all of this volatility really hitting the Aussie dollar. How has it performed?
Well, not as bad as you might seem, notwithstanding it fell below 65 US cents yesterday for the first time since early 2020. Basically, in currency markets, investors just want to buy the US dollars because it's considered a safe haven in times of trouble. The pound sterling, for example, fell to its lowest level ever against the greenback yesterday. It's down about 20% this year. The yen's down about 25%. The euro's off about 15%. Now, the Aussie dollar this year is only down about 10%. It's actually outperformed many other currencies. So if you take the US dollar out, the Aussie dollar has actually done pretty well. Just don't go for a holiday to the US, go to Europe. That's what the moral of this story is.
Sean, story number 3, there is plenty going on in Canberra this week with Parliament back, but the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese won't be there for the next couple of days. He's flying to Japan for the funeral of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
He is, but before he went, he had a bit to say on this Optus cyber attack, which affected nearly 10 million Australians. He called it a huge wake-up call for the corporate sector in terms of protecting data. He made the comment as part of the government's push to change privacy laws around that. The big news out of Canberra yesterday was Attorney General Mark Dreyfus outlining some details about the proposed Federal Anti-Corruption Commission. He said it will be able to investigate serious or systemic misconduct by any person. Now, crossbenchers have called for a wide-ranging anti-corruption commission. It seems that that's the path that the government's taking. In fact, Jackie Lambie yesterday said she wanted a thing with a set of chops on it bigger than Jaws. Looks like we might be getting that.
Indeed. Story number 4, Sean, is a pretty confronting one, really. Rio Tinto has sacked a man who allegedly assaulted a woman and threatened her with a makeshift weapon at one of the miners' accommodation villages.
That's right. It comes just months after Rio released a damning review of its workplace culture and after a Western Australian parliamentary inquiry into sexual assaults and harassment in the mining industry. Rio has spent $200 million on security and safety upgrades this year in response to the inquiries, according to the Financial Review. It's also installed 16,000 new locks on rooms across 24 villages in the Pilbara and much greater CCTV and security guard coverage. Rio said it was distressed and saddened by this latest allegation. The man involved now faces criminal charges.
Okay, on to story number 5, our last one, Sean. When I used to host pub trivia nights, I used to love it when the annual Skytrax Awards come out because it always gave me the opportunity to ask a heap of questions about which airlines in the world are the best. So, perfect opportunity to discuss this with you today because Qantas might be kind of losing a few friends here at home, but it's just been ranked the 5th best airline in the world and the region's top carrier.
That's right. And as you said, the Skytrax Awards are very important. In fact, they're described as the Oscars of aviation, Michael.
Of course they are.
They were presented over the weekend. They're based on more than 13 million returned customer surveys undertaken between September 21 and August this year. Qantas moved from 8 last year to 5th behind Qatar Airways, which once again came in at number 1. Second was Singapore Airlines, then Emirates and All Nippon Airways. Qantas came in third in the premium economy category and sixth in both business class and economy. On a regional basis, Qantas was number one, followed by Air New Zealand, Fiji Airways, Virgin Australia, and then Jetstar. Jetstar, mind you, was ranked the world's second best low-cost carrier. There you go.
And if this was a pub trivia night, I would be asking you, and which was the best low-cost carrier?
Scoot.
Oh, well played, and you would get full marks. There we go, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Tuesday, the 27th of September, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.